Good evening, Team Lifetree. This is Julie White from Pennsylvania, and welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you're here tonight. Every Monday night at the same time, same Zoom, we have our Team Lifetree family time. So we're especially excited tonight because in a little while here, we're going to have a guest on, Cynthia Greenawalt, and she is amazing. I actually got to hear her. All of us that were at convention in San Antonio got to hear her on the stage. She's an executive leader. So I'll introduce her in just a bit. But right now, I just wanted to welcome everybody. And is there anyone on here for their very first time tonight? Anybody have anybody they want to introduce for their first time? Anybody on here for their first time? Okay, I am not seeing any hands waving, so we will move on. Debbie Packard is going to share a little bit of what's happening in LifeVantage. So Debbie, do you want to share your screen, or do you want to just share a little bit of announcements?
I'm happy to share the screen.
Okay, great. And while she
go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, while she's getting that up, I just wanted to also share, well, maybe I'll let you share, Debbie. You have a guest that's next week is doing a presentation for us to invite guests to. So we should also announce that.
I do. Okay. I'm so excited about that. And I will just go ahead, since you brought that up, and tell you about it. Tamara Leeton is an MC3, get that right. And she is a registered nurse. And Tamara and I were at Pro 5 Summit together. And so we have been friends ever since. That's where I met her. She is a phenomenal lady who just always shares so much value on her page. And I have been reaching out to her to see if she might be willing to come and share some of that with us. And so she's actually next Monday going to be doing an opportunity presentation for our team. So while most of these Monday night meetings are just a family time for consultants, next Monday is the time when you want to be inviting your guests, your friends who haven't heard this information, friends who have, and want an explanation from an RN's point of view. Get your people on next Monday. I don't know that date. What is that date? November 2nd? Is that November 2nd? Someone help me out here.
No, it's going to be October.
Monday. That's the first is on a Wednesday.
Oh, so it's still in October. October 30th.
October.
October 30th, the night when Tamara presents at 7:00 p.m. Central at this address for Zoom. Make sure you bring your people, and we'll be putting out an announcement about that. But I cannot wait for you all to meet Tamara and hear from her. This is the Momentum Monday newsletter. The company sends out this Momentum Monday every week on Monday, and today's is packed as usual with wonderful information. Just a reminder, the company has offered this fast track reset for consultants to enjoy the benefits of the fast track, even if you've been in for more than that original 3-month period of time. And we just have 9 days left in October to make the most of the double benefit for enrolling consultants. If you sign up 3 consultants, is it on a pack? I believe it's on a pack. I don't have that detail. You can earn the double bonus just in October, and then October through December. Anytime you meet that fast track qualification of enrolling 3 customers or 3 consultants. Actually, I think it's 150 points on the consultants, I think, and 100 points for a customer. If you enroll 3 100-point customers or 150-point consultants, you will earn a bonus. And in October, the consultant bonus is double. So you can click on that to get the details from the website by going into that email and clicking on see who qualified, or just going into your back office to find those details.
Normally it's $50, but for the consultants, it's $100 through the end of October. So you really want to get your consultants.
Absolutely. Thank you, honey. Also, they are wanting to put our True Renew amazing new product into the hands of all the consultants that they can. So as a consultant, when you order the Healthy Glow Consultant Stack on subscription, those are all important words, Healthy Glow Consultant Stack on subscription in October and or November and or December, you receive a free True Renew, the full size item. So don't miss that opportunity. That is an amazing way to get the product, try the product, share the product, sell the product. You don't want to miss this. It's an amazing, amazing new addition to our line. Every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, we have a Momentum Live, and this week it is with Brian and Holly Highfield talking about how to sell the True Renew. That will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Mountain. I'm just going through these quick, but you should have this email in your email box. You can read all this yourself and learn the details. All into the virtual global kickoff is coming up. We have events coming up in Northern California, Montana, Texas, Louisiana, and the Northeast. The virtual global kickoff 2024 is in January. That is a free virtual event. Check the Big Blue calendar, get yourself registered, and if you can, get yourself to one of these live events leading up to that. Global convention's over, but you can watch the video to remind yourself of how fun that was and how excited we all are to get together again in March in Nashville. I cannot wait. The Axio Watermelon Mint decaf is gone. So those summer, I know, me too, Mark. Man, I'm sad to see it. But we have 2 new flavors coming up November 2nd, and they just keep coming up with delicious flavors, so I'm excited. There's several other things here. I think I am going to head this back to Julie. Don't miss out on these emails. If you are not getting them, check in with the back office and with support to make sure that your settings are in a place where they can send you this email yourself, and you won't have to rely on someone else to share it with you. Back to you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see if Cynthia is on here. Cynthia, are you on here?
Not quite. She still doesn't have her camera on.
Okay.
Oh, there's.
She just came on. Yay.
Is she on? I don't think she's quite on. So
Still
thank you.
muted.
I need
He's
until
here.
10 after, but if you guys are ready now, I'll be ready.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can't wait, Cynthia.
Well, Cynthia, we're really excited. And let me just introduce you, Cynthia. So Cynthia has a very interesting background. I'd love to hear more about it actually sometime. She's a graduate from Wharton School of Business from the University of Pennsylvania. She is a 20-year peak performance consultant and social capital coach. That sounds really interesting. She's a contributing author to a New York Times bestseller on network marketing. What is that, Cynthia? What is the book?
Oh, it's called Masters of Networking.
Okay, awesome. She started LifeVantage 5 years ago while living in Manhattan, working the business, doing her training company and events business. And now she's an executive leader who spoke on the stage in San Antonio. And when I heard she was from Pennsylvania, I was like, wow, that's so awesome. So Cynthia, we are super excited and grateful that you took the time out to be with us tonight. And she is going to be sharing some of we were at convention, we got this little book called the 90-Day Action Plan. And if you didn't get it, I was excited to see that they have it in the hub where you can download it. So it's in there, and she's going to be sharing a 90-day action plan. Hers might vary a little bit because she got her action plan from presidential Tara Wilson. So I'm excited. I hope you all have your notebook and your pen So you can take some notes because Cynthia is having so much success with her business. I'm amazed that she has time to talk to us tonight because she's been super busy. So Cynthia, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Julie. Real quick, what is the stop time that I need to be wrapped up by?
Well, we're going to take a little extra time tonight. If somebody has to get off, they can, but I don't want you to feel crunched. So,
Is the bottom of the hour usually when you guys wrap up your call? I'm just trying to check in.
usually between 8:30 and 8:45.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. Well, first of all, I have to wave at one of my favorite people, Mark Harris. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, we kind of have a mutual admiration society
We do.
going.
I'm so grateful. It's like my brother from another mother, the spiritual, right and left brain unite kind of kindred spirits that we are. And I was so excited when Julie asked me to be part of this conversation, and I'm honored. It really is a beautiful kindred support. I'm so happy that I could be part of your call because we really are one big family. And thank you for reaching out. And yes, it was some juggling. That's why it took me till 8:08 to get on here Eastern time, because I was driving from an event where I was presenting and skipped out of that thing and left them wrapping up the meeting so I could be with you guys. I'm very excited about the 90-day game plan conversation. It is different than the one that's in the booklet, but they're all 90-day game plan frameworks are empowering. And I'll be talking about the one that I find to be the most resonant with me. And I learned it in my funny that you mentioned Pro 5 Summit, now called Growth Summit, when I hit Pro 5, which is what we call MC2. I hit that my 8th month in the business. I was doing this part-time from the get-go. I joined 5 years ago, and a month is when so I'm just, right at just a little over 5 years in the business. And at the time I was living in Manhattan. So in case you meet someone like me or you know someone like me, so that's why I'm telling you the story. So at the time that I was shown LifeVantage, I was what you would say on the outside, like just crushing it. I had my coaching business. I had my training company. I had an events business with a business partner. I was working 75 hours a week, but if I didn't need to sleep, I'd probably work all the time because I was having such a blast empowering entrepreneurs to hit peak performance level of their joy and their contribution into the world. I work with entrepreneurs who have found a path that is their joy. So I was working in the social capital area, which means I would help people who had already established a really beautiful network of relationships and had to double and triple the referrals they were generating for their real estate business or their web business or their chiropractic business or their network marketing business. About a third of my clients were in network marketing. And I found that network marketing professionals are kind of like insurance agents. If they don't know how to network, they're like the most annoying person at the networking event. You guys know what I mean. You meet the insurance agent, and he's just like all over you. You're like, I just met you. I'm not ready to sit down with you. Well, that's what network marketing people do. If they don't really take the time to create a background of relatedness, the person feels a little rushed. So that was my passion, is to help any professional, but particularly network marketing professionals, just show up as a giver and someone who's a servant leader. So by the time we get around to mentioning what we're doing, they're like, I already love you. So what are you doing? I want to hear all about it. So I was not in network marketing for about, 10 or 12 years. I looked for a network marketing company after the one I was in crashed and burned. And I had a rule: publicly traded, product that was either patented or proprietary, because I don't like to compete with the store down the road. And I also wanted to find a company under 250,000 distributors. That was my magic number, because it meant there were countries yet to be opened, so I could help my friends create wealth. I didn't want to just be the only one who made it. I wanted to take a group of my friends with me. So I spent 13 years looking, 12 or 13 years looking, and found nothing that was close to what I wanted. And I just gave up and thought, fine, I'll just be a coach to network marketing professionals, in addition to all entrepreneurs that create relationship, kind of unleash the relationship garden. And that's what I was doing when one of my clients was one of my coaching clients, Sarah Smith. Yes, executive consultant Sarah Smith was one of my dear friends and one of my clients. And she said, do you even know what my company does? I'm like, I don't need to know what my clients' companies do. I just deal in the human capital. I don't need to know the inner workings of their business. And no, I'd never heard of LifeVantage, and I wasn't too worried about what they did because I didn't need to know that part to coach her in creating relationship magic. And she says, you know, I know you love quantum physics because that's one of my things and what I teach people, how to tap into nonlinear thinking. And she's like, I think you would love to hear what we're doing. I said, I'd love to support you. She'd already referred me like 12 clients. Of course, I'm going to listen to her. That's a hint. She was making lots of deposits into this relationship called Cynthia. So I was willing happily to listen and give her the dividend, like yield the dividend of my time to be her cheerleader and her supporter. And I said, oh, wow, this is so profound, but I can't join a network marketing company because if I did, I'd lose a third of my clients because they were from 12 different network marketing companies. So she was like, oh, I go, but I would love to be your cheerleader and I'm going to refer people to you because I've never seen anything like this. So I did. I started referring people to her. And fast forward, she asked me, would you like to see how I take care of your referrals? I said, yeah, that's a really good idea because I don't know what you do with them after they go talk to you. And I sat in on a LifeVantage overview that she did on Zoom with my massage therapist that I'd referred to her. And I sat there with my jaw hanging open on the floor, just like, wait a minute, this is publicly traded. Wait a minute, they have 7 US patents at the time. Clinical studies. This is so different. Oh no, I'm starting to like this. So I jumped on a plane, went to headquarters, did the tour, and that was just a little over 5 years ago. And I said, I'll do this if there's a system that lets me leverage my network in 6 to 7, maybe 8 hours a week, because that is all I had. And so that's the story of how I kind of flew out of the gate. And what I'm going to show you, this 90-day game plan, is literally the 90-day game plan. It was almost to the T what I did when I launched my business. And it's from Tara Wilson. So I was like, oh, this resonates with me. Now, is this everybody's style? I want to invite you to look at this 90-day game plan and modify. Kind of like if you do yoga, they might go, just listen to your body. If it's too much to do that, just know yourself and calm it down and maybe sit this one out. Or it's a self-awareness, but I'm inviting you to look at what I did. And you might not be it may not be a match for you because you'll be like, whoa, that looks like too intense, like too intense of a yoga. But there might be someone you bring onto your team that looks like me, or looks like Mark, or looks like whoever you know that kind of went off, got started with the momentum, that this may be a fit for them. So you're just listening as a leader to how it can adapt like an accordion to whomever you bring on board. So again, I'm going to credit Tara Wilson because this was her training. And then I changed it up and, like we all do, it's the highest form of compliments is that we take each other's stuff and you can do this with mine. Absolutely. So the idea of coming out of a convention, by the way, I built my entire career in network marketing, now 30 years long, in and out of the industry over those 30 years. There's nothing like a 90-day game plan following a major event, whether it's global or you go to Building Depth, which I absolutely love. I've used Building Depth as a quarterly pace to manage my 90-day game plans. And to find out when we come out of that, we're so inspired, we're so present to a whole new vision that's the momentum we want to harness. Just like if I'm launching brand new and I'm moved and inspired and you want to harness me as a brand new person launching my first 90 days. And let me say something about any 90-day game plan. If I hadn't started with out of the gate so powerfully my first 90 days, at some point I would have been at a convention and I would have drawn a line in the sand, which anybody can do this day today. Draw a line in the sand and say, this is the beginning. And I'm going to create the next 90 days as my 90-day story that I'm going to be telling for the next 5 years. Because that 90 days that I launched my business with 5 years ago, I've told that story. I just tell everybody about my first 90 days again and again and again. And here's what I asked people who are ready to run. I said, what story do you want to be telling for the next 5 years? Whatever story you'd be proud to tell over the next 5 years, make that your 90 days. Make this next 90 days the story you'd be proud to tell. And we can invent in advance what we'd like to tell. So I'll tell my 90-day story, and then I'll show you how Tara Wilson's game plan. I made a list of 100 people, and I knew 5 would do the business with me. That's what I figured. 100 oysters in a bucket. Only 5 have a pearl in it. Only 5. Oh, and each pearl is worth $200,000. How long would I take to shuck those 100 oysters? I don't know, if there's only 5 pearls in there, I'd just be like, let's just get through the bucket so I could find the 5. That was me. I said, wow, 5 out of those 100 on this list are going to want to run with this. They're going to see this. They're going to be moved like I'm moved. am I going to wait 10 months to shuck this bucket of 100? No, I want to get it done in the next 60 days. So I reached out to my 160 days, doing this 6 to 7 hours a week, most weeks. Did all 100 want to hear the whole story? No, about 80 let me present. And my presentations were like 10 to 15 minutes. I was like doing it while walking between subway and the meeting. When I came up from the subway in New York City, I'd be walking to one of my clients or whatever. I did almost all of these first look presentations on foot because I didn't know about Zoom on my phone back then. So I just did it on the phone, texting the ABC, coming back after 4 minutes, telling a little bit more of the company story, my story, and maybe show them the financial page. I mean, my presentations were 10 or 15 minutes. And then I just invite them to the T of the ITT. That was my story. And guess what happened? By the end of the 90 days, 12 enrolled as a distributor, I think 15 enrolled as a customer. And I figured it'd be like 5 and 15. 5 would say yes to being a distributor. 15 would say yes to being a customer. I was ready for 70 people to like cross their eyes at me and think I was like losing it. I didn't care because I knew I was pioneering something. So I was ready for 70, either no's or, hey, great for you, you're going to crush this, because I just really let everybody know this was my vision. I'm really thrilled that they were my cheerleader. And I was shocked that 12 wanted to come on board with me in those first 90 days. Like I'd rather under, like kind of like 5 out of 100. So that's just an example of a 90-day game plan that I've been able to tell that story ever since. Will everyone be able to do what I did? No, I had an amazing network. People really trusted me. I have friends in my life who are on my team that have an amazing network. People trust them, but they're missing this third piece, which is believing in themselves to call those 100 and just like know we're worth it. I'm worth being listened to. So that's like a whole nother training, but the ground of being. I love talking about that too. I'd come on in the future if you guys want to have me back. All right, so we're going to talk about harnessing post-convention momentum, launching if I'm brand new, or relaunching if I've been in for a little bit or a while. So relaunching our business with a 90-day game plan. So here's how I'm going to break it down. So this is right out of the Pro 5 Summit training, and then I'll throw in some of my twists. Tara Wilson said, just sit down and make a new list. Or if I'm brand new, make my first list. Now, if you've been in a bit, you get to say, all right, who's joined but quit? Put them on your list. Who looked but said no or maybe? Put them on your list. Who are the ones you've never spoken to? And any referrals, as you say, who do you know that must have is reinventing their career? Who do you know is a pioneering thinker? Who do you know that's like really into health and wellness? Again, however you'd like to ask that fourth question. But mostly those first 3 bullets are the key. When I made my first list of 100, I basically was my favorite 100 people that I thought, these are big, out-of-the-box thinkers, positive vibe, and I would love to have them as a cheerleader. And if they said yes, I'd love to be hanging out with them and be attached to the hip, frankly, if they said yes. So that's kind of what goes. If I don't want to be attached to the hip, they go off my list. That's just the one thing. It's like, do I want to hang out with them all the time? Their energy kind of brings me down, then I take them off the list. Those are my only criteria for who doesn't go on my list. Now, this is the next piece. You get your list, and before I call them, or before I recommend you call them, you're going to craft your story, but it's grounded in your why. So it's a chance to revisit, do like some inventory. Why? Why LifeVantage? What is going on with LifeVantage that's so special? Like really get connected to that. Be moved by the why of LifeVantage. Why you're moved by it. And where do you see it going? So you and you can do a whole bunch of journaling on this, but then you're going to kind of boil it down, of course, but you're really allowing yourself to be moved by this. And then like why the team that you're on, or why part of your story is, any personal successes you have, whether it's, opening a team in 3 states, or a result you've had with the product, or what I saw it did for my dad's left hip. I mean, those are kind of part of that why. What are some of your personal successes, or even successes to those that are near and dear to you? I mean, one of my teammates, she's changed her life. So I tell Jill's story. Mark knows her, Jill Weinberg. One of my favorite stories to tell is watching a friend of mine that's never had her own business, except be a teacher and be an occupational therapist in a hospital, transform in front of my eyes over her first 2 years. And then 2 more years later, has the 3rd largest team in my organization. Someone who's never done any kind of entrepreneurship. I mean, I love telling her stories. So sometimes it's our own personal stories, but that's one of my successes, watching a friend transform. So you're kind of taking inventory of the different elements of your story, what moves you. And then like where you're going to next, what you see possible because you're part of this. That's part of the story I tell. When I was just starting, I said, look, I'm so honored to have been invited by one of my clients, because I was talking about Sarah. And I just told my friends, I said, look, I was asked by one of my dear clients, reached out and asked for my help expanding a series of patents into global markets. I'm most excited about Europe and Australia. And we're putting a team together to help us take this to all corners of the world. And Bob, it would just be so inspiring for me to get your take on this. I really respect you as an out-of-the-box thinker. And you know what? You might have an idea. You might think of somebody who's got inroads to one of these countries. And even if you think of nothing, just having you as my cheerleader would be an absolute gift. They usually go, wow, it sounds kind of like, wow. So great. When do you have like 10 or 15 minutes on Zoom? I usually ask for Zoom now, but I did it on the phone. But that was all because I had my why. And then by the time I sat down and had a moment, I'd say a little more. I'd be like, you know what? I'm maxed out. I have a consulting business, a coaching business, a training company, an events business. Like if I get sick or injured for say 3 months, I'm completely wiped out financially. And it was like a wake up call to me recently. And I realized I have nothing that's sustainable. I'm an unsustainable household. So again, that's part of my story. That's really when my business took on another level, when I got that distinction. Like I'm an unsustainable household. And yet one of my biggest passions is the sustainability of the rainforest. And I realized how like that was inconsistent, that I'm unsustainable at the level of my own household. I really realized I had nothing sustainable or renewable, and I wanted to create that. So I began looking. Wouldn't you know, out of left field comes a client with this invitation, and I almost missed it because it didn't fit my pictures. Again, that's part of my story. So you're crafting your story, do it with a buddy. Could be a sideline, but it's really fun to practice your story with somebody else. Then what Tara Wilson has, like your reach out script. There's like 2 steps, like you send a text or it could be a voicemail. And then it's just sort of to get their attention and to get a 5-minute or 10-minute chat on the books. So Tara Wilson used this one. Hey, actually, let me move my screen around so I can see things a little better. Here we go. Hey, Bob. Again, this could be a voicemail. Could just be text. Hey, Bob, I like to do this as a text. How are you? Long time no talk. Making some big shifts in my life, and we need to talk. When do you have 5 or 10 minutes? It's serious and important. This is what Tara Wilson, I literally got her deck from when she trained at Pro Size Summit. So this is what she said. Now I have a little slightly different twist. This version. Hey, Bob. This again is a text. Just called. Now again, I could leave a voicemail, and if they don't pick up, I just say like, hey, it's Cynthia. Sorry I missed you. Look, I'll send you a text. Boom, hang up. And then the text is, hey, I just called, hoping to catch you. Making some big shifts in my life. Important that you know what's going on. When do you have 5 or 10 minutes to connect? How's 2 o'clock, or how's tonight at 9 p.m. or tomorrow at 10 a.m.? You always give people 2 choices. It just allows them. And sometimes I give them 2 windows. I go, how's tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 12, or Thursday between 2 and 4? People just need something to choose from. If we do not give them choices, they look at my text like, really? Like, what am I going to do? Send Cynthia 3 times and then hope that she can make one? And then they've got to block the 3 times in their calendar. And that's putting the burden on them. And they won't do it. I must put the burden on myself by blocking my 2 blocks or my 2 choices and let them just go pick one, boom, and then it's in the calendar. So I give them windows and they'll say, oh yeah, between 2 and 4 Thursday, I can do 2:30. Now they can just say 2:30 and it's in. And remember, it's only a 5-minute catch up. So what Tara recommends is send this in waves, 25 to 50 reach outs at a time. So that's why I like to do time blocks. Like, how's Wednesday between 10 and 12 or Thursday between 2 and 4? Because I can send that little combo, that template can go to 10 people. Then I create 2 different like time options, and that can go to the other 10 or 12 people. Because they fill in, and then you can't send that to too many people. Now, when they call you back, she recommends do not answer the call back. Just send them another, let it go to voicemail. And then just say, hey, missed your call, book solid, when can we, and then you can offer times. Because remember, her version doesn't have time chats. She does it as like a sort of a follow-up. I do it in my first reach out. So either way, whatever's more comfortable, you can come back and watch the replay. And she's saying, line these up every 20 to 30 minutes. So again, it requires creating blocks. I'm a big fan of time blocking. I put it in my, if I'm going to be following up with people, I need to save those blocks in my own calendar so that when someone does say, hey, let's chat, I have a place to put it. So then I love this phrase, take a stand and commit. And this is where you commit. This is your 90-day game plan or something that's a stretch for you. It might not be 100, it might be 50. For some of you, it's 200. But take on something that over the next 30 days, because the 90-day game plan really only, see, my 90 days was to enroll, I wanted to enroll 5 people by the end of 90 days when I started. And I knew it meant reaching out to 100 people in my first 60 days. And I ended up presenting to 80 and 40 people my first month, 40 people my second. So, it's like plant the seeds in the first part of the 90-day game is really what this is about. And then I had time to garden those seeds through the rest of the 90 days. So at the end of the 90 days, I had my 5 new partners on my team and I ended up with 12. But my game was to have 5 and I knew 100 conversations to reach out and then present to a smaller number because everyone has life stuff getting in the way. So she's recommending have 100 conversations, 10 minutes tops in 30 days. You might say, okay, that's 25 a week. Well, I can commit to 15 a week or I can commit to 10 a week, whatever it is. Just make a game use this as a guide, like yoga. If it's too much, whoa, just chill and go. But make it something that is a little bit of a stretch for you and block in the time and create an accountability buddy. And then when you connect with these people, you're also asking questions, giving the gist of your listening. She uses Ford, find out their family, occupation, recreation, dreams, kind of tuning in for a couple minutes, what's going on with them. Say, I've got a project I'm working on, but first, let's catch up. Tell me what's happening. I haven't talked to you in forever. Before I go barreling in with what I'm working on, it's just kind of cool that it brought you to mind. And I realized, God, it's been so long. How are you? Before I just jump into that, I'd love to check in. So it's like a little bit of a courtesy to check in. I use something called PACE. I actually invented this for my clients called the PACE, and you're finding out their passions, their achievements, communities, endeavors. That's really an ideal way when you're out networking at the chamber or you're part of some kind of nonprofit event and you're just meeting people. Listen through the filter of what are their passions, what are their achievements, what communities are they connected to, what circles do they hang in, and what are some endeavors, things they're striving for. And then once you find that they're like, wow, there's some really good vibe over there, or they're really rethinking things, and then you can put them in a funnel if the vibe is right. Okay, so if the vibe is feeling right, move them into the ITT. So that number 1 is the 4-minute ABC, is the I, kind of like, hey, this is what I'm working on, would love your take. And then you direct them to that Life Manager overview. That's the tool, could be a replay, could be an event. And what I think is really important is, I learned this from Everett Schilling. If I show the ABC and tell my story and the company story, I'm actually showing people the average earnings page, and I even text it. In addition to the ABC, I can just text the average earnings, and I'm like, this is my line as I show the average earnings on a kind of a first overview. I'll say, I know you really want me to win, Bob. And they're like, yeah, of course I do. So I'm showing this to you because it's one of the most powerful sort of ways to sort of map out and show like a visual of what I'm building on a global scale. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? And then I say, look, my goal is to create, and then you pick a thing. I want to help, 5 families, create a part-time income of 5,000 or 6,000 a month. Like you could be looking at MC, 3 or something. Well, if you have 5 families hit 40,000, okay, you're now an EC2. So this is kind of how you have fun with it. And if I do that, I've helped these 5 families reach that, then if the company's going to pay me, an override because of developing leadership in the tune of about 15 to 20,000 a month. I mean, this is kind of like a conversation that I use the income earning statement. I said, so that's really why I'm looking for special leaders who might help me put Miami on the map or Dublin on the map or Denver. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because it's really about networking, right? If you were working on something going global, I hope you'd call me and tell me who you were looking to connect to so I could keep my ears peeled. So I'm just letting my visionary friends know what I'm up to. And sometimes they go, whoa. If I hear a whoa or a wow, then I might say, well, let me ask you, if I were to send you some follow-up info, is it the science that you might want more information on, or would it be the business model and our revenue share model that you'd want more information on, or a combination of the two? Up or to. And they go, wait a minute, and they'll tell you what they need. Actually, well, I think it's cool what you're doing, but wow, science, I definitely want information on the science. Probably leaning in on getting their hands on these activators. Or they're like, Oh no, I told you the science makes total sense. You tell me there's patents, I get it. I want to understand this business model. What's the system look like? Then you're like, okay, direct them to like part 2 of a life handover. Oh, you can just skip over the products, come to that another time, just jump right to minute marker number, book when it goes into the business plan. We're like listening. Or if they want both, I always send everybody to a life manage overview. I just tell them what part contains the thing they want. And that's how I kind of wrap it up. And then you send them a link with the link, and you have your shopping cart, or you have a little page like right to the per tandem on your website. And the ideal thing is 24 to 48 hours later, I say, hey, don't even worry about watching everything I sent you. Let's just focus on this one little thing, and let's talk in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, because this is like a language, touching base every couple of days. It's like the neural nets will come online more quickly, and we're learning this together. And if they go, well, I need a week. Oh, okay, great. How's Tuesday or Wednesday? I let go immediately when they say they need a week. But I invite them to talk to me in the next few days. And then you just find out what they want, and then I adapt to what they want. And here's the fueling, if you will. If you're fueling this fire that we're igniting with people, is write out your why. Get present to why are you doing this business. Create a vision for your 90-day game plan. Like, where do you want to be? And your vision, by the way, for your 90-day game plan isn't where you want to be in 90 days. Start with where you want to be in a year and a half or 3 years. Start further out. So you're envisioning, like, actually the 90 days is in service of a larger vision. I want to be at 10,000 a month, or whatever your dream might be. Wait, that would be me being an MC, whatever it is, EC1 or something. And then picture your team. Like, well, that means I actually have 5 people. Kind of draw a little like picture in your mind of like, that would be 5 MC2s or whatever the picture is. And then you're picturing it, and like, and they're in 4 countries or whatever. Like, get the picture in your mind. The universe is listening anyway. So is it multiple states, multiple countries, multiple women that are like, leading your teams? Is it families? Is it single moms? Like, picture this part of your why and your 2, 3, 4 year plan, and then back it up and say, where am I going to be in October, November, December? Where am I going to be at the end of December of 2023, based in the bolder goal, and bring it back. And I recommend getting a workout buddy. I'm looking at the clock. Let me say something about this Babe Ruth comment. I do a whole training with my team called The Power of a Babe Ruth Promise. If you know anything about the Babe Ruth story, he was famous for having the record on hitting home runs. But he also had the record for the most strikeouts. And I was reading a whole article about it. So there was a certain way that you'd have to stand to actually hit a home run, but the way the body was located over the plate makes the batter super vulnerable for strikeouts. So that's why it's super bold to go for a home run, because it increases the chance of failing and striking out. But Babe Ruth was okay about that. In fact, he was famous for, as he approached the plate, he would pause, point to the top, like the rim of the stadium. And he was basically telling every single person in the stands, this one is going out of the park. So that's a Babe Ruth promise to me. That's kind of what I mean by Babe Ruth. I say, this one's going out of the park. The whole place goes crazy because you can't predict such a thing. And people go crazy in the presence of something that bold. Like, who promises a thing they can't predict that they can do? Bold people. And that was what he was like. This one's going out of the park. The crowd goes crazy. And maybe he strikes out. And is he like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I just promised a home run in front of all these people. Does he like slink back to the dugout with his head down? No. He's walking back to the dugout, shoulders back, and he's like this. That's how you do it. Like, striking out is like part of the magic of what he was doing. And he knew it. He was proud that he's like, I'm taking a risk. I'm not going to just shrink down and promise a single or a double. I'm going to go for it. So when we promise something bold, like I'll be an EC1 in X years, or I'm going to be an MC2 and whatever bold thing you promise, be okay that you might strike out. But it's the boldness that sets the body up to actually make the magic happen. If he stepped up to the plate going, well, I'll see if I'll hit a home run, he never would have hit one. So it's that willingness to just say, I'm putting myself out there. And if I strike out, I strike out. If I hadn't declared the bold thing in the first place, there'd be no chance for the universe to back that I was looking for those 5 people. I didn't care if I didn't find any of them in my first 90 days. The universe was my partner because I was committed to creating a team of 5 powerhouses. 12 showed up, but I would have been fine if I had 1. I think it's my athletic background where I failed so much on my way to my accomplishments that I just look at failure as just such a beautiful teacher. I'm the failure. The project, the hitting the home run may have failed, but he didn't walk off thinking he was a failure. And here's what I recommend. Each morning, reread your why. Affirmations if you have them. Review your 90-day game, even if it's like the little 30-second version of it. 2025, I'm a End of 2024, I'm a And the end of 2023, I'm this. And the way I'm fulfilling on all of that is this next 30 days, I'm creating this commitment. And it could be reach out to 20 in the month. It could be reach out to 40. Some of you, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. If you go for reaching out to 100, which is reaching out to 25 a week, you might only talk to 10 a week, but still you'll be, oh, I never did anything like that. Maybe reach out to 10 a week and you only talk to 4 a week. And like, I just did 16 presentations. I've never done that. So it's your own Babe Ruth stretch that I invite you into. And so that is the wrap on unleashing the momentum from a 90-day game.
Wow, Cynthia, that was amazing.
Renee, that was great. She's like,
Yeah, that's incredible. So do you teach this then to all your new people that you bring on?
yeah, I'll do this training, a couple times a year on one of our Monday calls for my team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I have some notes here and I was very inspired and impressed. So do you have a couple minutes for questions?
Absolutely available. However long I have another, about 8 minutes roughly.
Does anybody have a comment or question, or maybe Mark or Krista? Do you have any?
Or even your best takeaways. Sometimes I love to hear that too. Specific best takeaways.
I've got 2 pages of takeaways. My specific question, Cynthia, is so PACE is a new tack on sort of a similar conversation. So just so I can hear you tee that up, what would that sound like? I can already hear myself saying, who are your people when it comes to community? But when you're asking somebody what their passion is, that sounds almost cliche in the
Yeah, it's PACE, it's not so much that it's the questions. Sometimes we direct the PACE, but it's also a way when you're getting to know somebody, whether it's at an expo, on an airplane, wherever, go to a networking event. We're also like, wow, how'd you get your start doing what you do? They're going to tell you something they were passionate about. So it's like, as people speak, you're like, ooh, did they just say that they loved, helping people, or they were always volunteering for the thing with the adopt a dog, or, pets or stuff. You're like listening to their passions. You can hear it. Could be, vegan cooking comes up in conversations. You're at a health expo, whatever it might be. So sometimes it's a direct question, but it's usually just paying attention. So we're, and it could be out of order. It's not like you have to go in the PACE order. I just find myself gravitated to find out what lights, what is some of the, why do you do what you do? Why would you be, working so hard? Is it family? Is it kids? Is it travel? Sometimes I give some suggestions to be like, what makes you tick? And you get them talking. But it's really, PACEs are great. A PACE is great, over coffee. When you get to know somebody, or I even like to say, hey, let's do a Zoom virtual coffee. I would love to get to know you better. And then PACE can be a way to kind of file their answers, because when you do want to say thanks, it was great meeting you and showing that we were listening, you stumble on an article on vegan cooking and you're like, hey, I just remember we were talking about this. I think you would love this. This is so cool. Made me think of you. They don't need to know you were searching for an article on vegan cooking. Because if you search for an article on vegan cooking, you say, I stumbled on this. You might think it's great. It made me think of you. And they're like, oh, Cynthia remembered. I love this. I mean, it's really just, they don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. And the PACE is just a way to find out what matters to them, so we can show are listening and how to support them around it.
Yeah.
They,
I
yeah.
mentally, I love like projecting how much more interesting that conversation is over. So what do you do? Right. It's just more, more intimate. And I think that's brilliant. The other thing that I took away was, you know, if you've done this for a year or 5 years or 10 years, or in our case, 13 years, it's sometimes you get sort of jaded and you don't have a sense of what's happening right now because, you know, you've done that. And I really appreciated that bullet point, that as you're communicating vision, it's always what's happening right now. And then these next 90 days are really super important. And that that builds that excitement and momentum, not just for that person, but for yourself as well. And I thought that was a really awesome takeaway.
Oh my
We
gosh.
love you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. That was huge. Who else had a takeaway or an aha? It doesn't have to be a question. It could just be like, oh, this was the mind blower. This was a tweak that just made all the difference. Because that's really huge for me to hear, but also for the team, because then it's like a little, almost like a Cliff Notes recap.
So I am brand new and I loved your presentation. It was very exciting, but I don't know 100 people. So how do you find 100 people that you actually know? I mean,
Yeah, very good.
that's
Yeah.
just
So,
it.
so this is great. So one of the I appreciate what you were saying, Deborah, really powerful. Everyone comes into this business with a different, what I'll call social capital, right? So in my case, I lived in Manhattan 12 years, or was I like 10 at the time? No, 8 at the time when I first saw this. But I had spent 8 years building a network and, you know, volunteering for stuff and just being like conscientious and listening and helping and empowering and referring and doing all kinds of stuff. So by the time I heard this business, I had hundreds of people that I'd already known and had a lot of people like. So I was very rich in social capital. And then my friend Jill, whose story I love to tell, she joined this business having been a teacher and then was working in a hospital and saw the same like 20 people all the time. And never was out networking, was like, didn't have any time to even like go to alumni things or do anything. So she was very kind of like said sparse in the social capital department. So she spent the next year going to events, like building depth, listening to everything she could, even, you know, different books on networking, just like, you know, Bob Bird, Endless Referrals. There's all kinds of books out there on networking. But the whole point is, how do I just go out and like meet people? And I moved to Philadelphia. You guys, I've been in the business, right, for 5 years. A year and 3 months ago, I relocated to Philadelphia. My boyfriend and I had been dating long distance for 2 years, 2 weeks in New Hampshire, 2 weeks in Philly, because I left New York when the pandemic hit and went and hung out with my dad in the woods, like 2 hours north of Boston, okay? Where I had 2 friends in 2 years. Can you imagine Cynthia with 2 friends? It took me like 2 years to meet 2 people in New Hampshire. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not a 2-friend girl. So I was like, I gotta, you know, figure something out here. And then I went to Philly, started hanging out, you know, doing some potlucks. And every time I went to a potluck, I'd do the pace, I'd be listening, whose vibe was exciting. Never told them about LifeVantage. For like 6 months of being in Philly, I didn't say anything about LifeVantage. I was just building a brand new network. They didn't care what I do. I was like, oh, I have a coaching business. Mention something. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur doing different projects, but I never ever went into what I do. I wanted to learn more about the person and then find out how I could serve, how I could contribute, who I could connect. And then I've been here now just over a year. And I'm like, man, I know like 200 people already. You guys, it's just a matter of, because every person I met that I liked would bring me to the next potluck or the next, like, I don't know, like health expo or something. And then I'd meet another 5 people and I'd meet a cool one there and they'd lead, because everyone's a gateway to another ripple of cool people just like them. And I didn't even pounce on anybody LifeVantage. I just moved slow to create friends because I didn't have that many living here. One, my boyfriend. And now people are like, you've only been here a year, but everyone knows you. I'm like, I don't know. I was just listening to people and then moving slow. And now I have, I don't know, 6 new teams that I've started here in the Philadelphia area. It's like, because I just got connected. So yes, you can learn how to build a network, but it all starts with go slow, treat them like a garden, make fertilizer sprinkles before you expect fruit from the relationship. Very, very cool. Great question, Deborah. Who else right before I leave in 3 minutes? Anyone else? Best takeaway?
There have been some comments. One, Jerry shared, and both Kat did too, just how to manage that 100 phone calls. It can seem really daunting, but the plan makes it doable. It makes it feel doable. And I felt the same way. I'm like, it's just so great the way you break that down into what we can do each day or each week, and get an amount that is something we can be held accountable to and that we have a plan for. So we love that. I'm curious
I will
if
say
you
one
have-
thing. Be okay with it being messy.
Yeah.
It's like
Good
if you
point.
have a thing where everything's got to be under control and messy is something, because in the industrial work model, you got to be like perfect, and they only promise what everything's like perfect. Like Babe Ruth promised, it's messy. So be okay. Like sometimes I like totally forget about people. I'm like, oops, and I don't beat myself up. And I like 3 months later, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to call you. Things got crazy. I just be okay. Forgive yourself for being messy.
Do you have a favorite overview and also a favorite book on networking? I heard you mention both of those things tonight. Do you have one that you
So do I have a
recommend?
favorite overview? The overview I would always recommend is the one that has your upline in it, because that's the person you're going to bring in for three-way calls. That's what I do.
Good
It
idea.
has Sarah Smith in it, or might have Dan Mollering in it, or maybe someone on my team. So it just keeps it easier when it's time. I want to meet that person. You're not like scrambling to find someone whose number you don't even know. I mean, that's just kind of what I like to do. Just keep it in the family, at least for that first LifeVantage overview. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And then
then
what was
do
the
you
other question?
on networking? Do you have a great
So-
book for that?
Yeah, so there's a book. It's called The World's Best Known Marketing Secret. It's written by Ivan Meisner. He's the founder of BNI. It was written like in the 90s, I think, or something. Maybe it was in the 80s. I forget now. And it's just sort of some basic ways to find out what kind of groups to join. It's an oldie but a goodie. And it's sort of, I don't recommend BNI because you can't join for a part-time thing. You must join BNI in a full-time profession that I recommend you've been full-time for at least 2 years. But I joined a networking group here in Philadelphia as a business coach. Do I want more coaching clients? No, I have enough. But I join with something that they can easily relate to. Does that make sense? One of my leaders is a realtor that I met there. We hit it off. We became buddies. I didn't even mention LifeVantage for a while. Found out she was a health coach for 30 years before getting into real estate. I said, oh my God, I'd love your feedback on something I'm working on. Set up a separate, and she was flipped out and loved it. And she came on my team and she goes, you're right. By being a realtor, I'm doing something they can relate to. She uses that as just a way to be in a networking group, just learn, listen, doesn't even promote her real estate really in everybody's faces. And she gets to know them and then asks for their help on a project she's launching with Cynthia. And then they want to hear what we're doing. But I really recommend joining networking groups that don't require a lot of attendance. Like this one we joined is Fridays. I committed when I saw it, I'm going to go at least 3 Fridays a month because I wanted friends. And this is a group that has 30 to 50 people every Friday. There's different because there's no requirement of attendance. You can be 5 realtors in the room, 5 bankers. That's called an open network group. It's not exclusive to one of a kind. That's important for me because I didn't really want to be in one of those because I don't want to be the coach because I really am phasing that out. I still do it. Yeah. Is that helpful? So that's a good basic textbook on.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Thank you.
I feel Julie.
Well, we just want to thank you so much, Cynthia. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm going to be watching the replay and learning more because this was incredible. Just
Yeah.
really valuable information. Cynthia, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you joined us tonight, and we're excited about all this information. And we're also just really excited about your success and that you're part of our LifeVantage family. That's
Aw,
so.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
An
everybody.
honor being with you all. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go kick off my group call now.
Okay.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Cynthia. Bless you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. That was awesome. And we will see you next week. Okay.
Yeah, don't forget to invite your friends next week. It'll be an overview presentation.
That's right. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bless
you, Julie.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.